Have you ever wondered why some relationships seem to grow stronger with time, while others seem to wither away? If you're in your later years or navigating the complexities of a long-term partnership, this video is for you. In this guide, we'll dive into the 7 key truths about romantic and intimate relationships that can radically transform how you experience love and connection in your golden years. Whether you're looking to reignite the spark in your marriage or deepen your bond with a long-term partner, this is the perfect place to start. We'll explore everything from how to rekindle passion to overcoming those emotional silences that sometimes creep in over time. These insights are designed to help you build stronger, more meaningful connections, no matter how long you've been together. Stay with us until the end, and we'll share practical strategies that will not only help you renew your relationships but also avoid common pitfalls that many couples face. This video will provide the tools you need to make sure your love story remains vibrant, fulfilling, and meaningful. Whether you're looking to strengthen the relationship you're in or trying to better understand the dynamics of love in the later stages of life, these lessons are filled with wisdom, inspiration, and guidance to help you create a life full of love and companionship. Before we begin, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend doing so. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any of our upcoming content. Your support means the world to me, and if you find this video valuable, please help me spread these essential lessons by liking and sharing them with those who might benefit. The first thing that needs to be understood in advanced age is the importance of redefining expectations within romantic and intimate relationships. As we move through the inevitable journey of aging, one of the most profound and often overlooked revelations is the urgent need to reassess and redefine our expectations when it comes to romantic and intimate relationships. The passage of time brings with it the quiet realization that the love we once imagined, fueled by the fiery passion and intensity of youth, does not always remain the same. We may have carried with us the belief that love, in its truest form, should always reflect the exhilarating highs we experienced in our younger years, with hearts racing, emotions soaring, and desire blazing. But the truth is far more nuanced, far deeper, and infinitely more enduring. Love, as it matures, doesn't wither or fade away, it evolves. Just as the seasons change, love too undergoes its transformation, from the wild, unrestrained flames of youthful ardor into a softer, steady glow that burns even brighter with time. This warmth isn't fleeting, but instead, it settles into a deeper, more meaningful bond that is built on a foundation of mutual respect, trust, understanding, and a profound care for one another's well-being. In the later years of life, love is no longer defined by the rush of passion, but by the quiet comfort of shared experiences and the deep connection that exists between two people who have weathered the storms of life together. The importance of understanding this shift like love cannot be overstated. It's only by accepting that the passion of youth may no longer be the central force in a relationship that we free ourselves from the shackles of disappointment and frustration. Letting go of unrealistic expectations allows us to embrace the profound beauty of love as it stands today, full of meaning, comfort, and depth. It is not a love that fades, but one that deepens, becoming more intricate and powerful with each passing year. By embracing this evolution, we open the door to building relationships that align more closely with the emotional and physical realities of the present, rather than clinging to a version of love that no longer serves us. But love, especially in advanced years, is not merely about the emotional connection. It is also about communication. As time passes, we may find that the frequency of conversation between long-term partners diminishes. Words can become less frequent, and those intimate exchanges we once shared might feel fewer and farther between. Silence can creep in, not out of indifference, but simply because time has altered the dynamics of our relationship. Yet silence, as comfortable as it may seem, is not the foundation upon which a lasting relationship thrives. Relationships cannot survive in the absence of communication. Instead, they flourish when we make space for genuine dialogue, honest, open, and vulnerable conversations where both partners can freely express their hopes, fears, desires, and emotions. Communication is not just about words. It's about the willingness to listen, to truly hear one another, and to continue nurturing that emotional connection that binds us together. As the years pass, it becomes even more essential to carve out moments for these deep, reflective conversations, to explore the shifting needs, wants, and expectations of each other. The act of communicating honestly with your partner, even after many years together, is one of the most powerful ways to reignite intimacy. It's not about grand declarations or dramatic gestures. It's about the small, everyday moments that demonstrate your commitment and dedication. Asking how their day went, showing interest in the details of their life, or simply offering a listening ear when they need to speak. All of these seemingly minor acts become the threads that keep the emotional fabric of a relationship strong and intact. It's in these moments that you show your partner that they still matter to you, that their thoughts, feelings, and experiences are still deeply important. These exchanges, while often understated, build a bond of trust and affection that allows intimacy to flourish, long after the early days of passionate attraction have passed. In this way, communication becomes the lifeblood of a mature relationship, keeping it vibrant and alive, even as time moves forward. Equally important, and perhaps even more significant in the later stages of life, is the physical intimacy that partners share. As our bodies change, as they age and shift, the nature of our physical connection may evolve. But that does not mean that physical intimacy loses its significance. It only transforms. As we grow older, our bodies may no longer respond in the same way they once did, and physical intimacy may require a different approach. Yet, it is in this very transformation that intimacy can become even more profound. The connection that comes from shared touch, from the simple act of holding hands or embracing, becomes a powerful reminder of the closeness and trust between partners. These physical moments are not simply about pleasure. They are a means of reaffirming the bond that has been built over years, the quiet reaffirmation that you are not alone, that you are still valued and desired. The key to preserving physical intimacy in advanced years lies in letting go of any nostalgic longing for how things used to be. It's easy to mourn the loss of the youthful energy that once defined your physical connection, but in doing so, you risk missing out on the richness of what intimacy can become. The physical act of love, while it may change in its expression, does not lose its power to connect two people on a deeply emotional level. Instead of focusing on the past, embrace the opportunity to discover new and meaningful ways of being close, whether that's through shared moments of tenderness, new forms of physical affection, or simply the quiet comfort of physical presence. By approaching this stage of life with curiosity, openness, and empathy, you create a space where both partners feel not only valued but also desired, where touch and affection become ways to communicate your love in ways words cannot. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As we move through the years, the essence of love, be it emotional, physical, or spiritual, continues to evolve. Time brings inevitable changes, but it also brings the opportunity for deeper connection, for rediscovering each other in new, profound ways. Love in later life does not lose its power. Instead, it becomes more resilient, more intimate, and more meaningful. By embracing the reality of these changes with open arms, you create a relationship that not only survives the passage of time but thrives in it. This is how love endures, not by clinging to what once was, but by honoring what it has become, and by continuously seeking to understand and appreciate each other as you both grow older together. It is in this space of acceptance, curiosity, and deep emotional connection that love's true power is revealed, not just as something that lasts, but as something that continually deepens and strengthens, no matter what age you are. The second thing that needs to be said, and that can cause controversy, is that many people in advanced age maintain relationships out of complacency, not out of true love or mutual respect. It's painfully common to see couples who continue to share a home, a life, and perhaps even memories, not out of shared passion or mutual admiration, but simply out of fear. Fear of loneliness, fear of the unknown, or an overwhelming sense of duty after having spent so many years together. They may tell themselves that they've put in too much time to walk away now, that they've somehow earned their place in this relationship, even if it no longer nourishes them, even if it weighs them down. But, as time goes on, this very mindset can become one of the most insidious sources of emotional, psychological, and even physical stagnation. When people remain in relationships purely out of comfort or obligation, they deny themselves the opportunity to evolve, to rediscover who they are beyond the confines of a partnership that no longer serves them. The years slip by, and instead of flourishing into their most authentic selves, they continue to hide their needs and desires, burying them beneath the surface of their soul. In doing so, they miss out on the joy of experiencing a relationship that can make them feel truly seen, heard, and valued. Age should never be a reason to settle for less than what you deserve in love, companionship, and human connection. You deserve a love that inspires you to be the best version of yourself. One that challenges you, makes you laugh, comforts you in times of sorrow, and fills your life with a sense of wonder and fulfillment. But there is a far deeper, and often unspoken, truth that too many are reluctant to confront: the crushing fear of judgment from others. This fear keeps people imprisoned in relationships that do nothing but drain them, relationships that have long since become empty shells of what they once were. The looming questions plague the mind. What will the children think? What will our friends or family say? These societal pressures, often unacknowledged but ever-present, are like heavy chains that keep people from breaking free, from making the difficult yet ultimately liberating decision to let go of a relationship that no longer serves them. The anxiety of disappointing others, of being labeled a failure, is enough to keep them stuck in a life of quiet desperation. But living your life based on the expectations of others is, in essence, a betrayal of yourself. The final years of your life should be your time to truly live, to embrace the freedom of being yourself without apology, without fear. It's a time to strip away the layers of societal pressures, stop living in the shadow of other people's opinions, and start making decisions that align with your heart's truest desires. Yes, breaking free from the bonds of convention can be incredibly difficult. It may cause tension with those around you, it may stir up emotions of guilt or shame. But ask yourself, what is the cost of continuing to live a life filled with quiet dissatisfaction, regret, and unspoken pain? Is it worth it to live for others, while sacrificing your happiness and peace? True freedom comes when you stop seeking approval from others and start honoring your own heart, your own needs, and your truth. It's never too late to choose happiness, to choose authenticity, and to live in a way that makes you feel alive, passionate, and whole. Lastly, there is another deeply uncomfortable and often overlooked truth that too few are brave enough to address: the dangerous misconception that abusive relationships simply fade with time. There is a belief, particularly among older couples, that as the years pass, the controlling, belittling, disrespectful, or even outright abusive behavior of a partner will soften and dissipate with time. This is not only misguided, it is dangerously naive. In fact, in many cases, these toxic behaviors can become even more pronounced as one partner's physical or emotional strength begins to fade with age. The patterns of manipulation, gaslighting, and even financial abuse can intensify as the vulnerability of the older partner increases. Individuals in these relationships must recognize the signs of emotional, psychological, and financial abuse for what they truly are, rather than dismissing them simply because we've been together for so long. Time spent together should not be a reason to tolerate mistreatment or devaluation. Loving someone does not mean allowing yourself to be treated with disdain or disrespect. True love does not require you to endure being belittled, humiliated, or manipulated. If anything, the later years of life should be a time when you stand firm in your worth and demand the respect and love you deserve. The strength to break free from these toxic patterns, even after decades of being together, is one of the most empowering, courageous acts you can perform. It may be painful, it may be messy, but the liberation it brings is invaluable. Choosing to walk away from an abusive relationship at any stage in life, especially after many years together, is not only a courageous decision, it's a transformative one. It's a declaration that you value yourself, your well-being, and your happiness above all else. It's an act of reclaiming your peace, your autonomy, and your joy, and one of the most empowering choices you can make in the later years of your life. Breaking free from the shackles of abuse allows you to step into the remainder of your life with dignity, self-respect, and the boundless potential to thrive once again. The third controversial thing about intimate relationships in old age is that many couples set aside desire and sexuality, believing it is no longer relevant to them. This mindset, which is often nurtured by harmful societal prejudices and limiting beliefs, is one of the most devastating misconceptions about aging. The harsh reality is that physical intimacy, far from being a fleeting phase of youth, has no expiration date. Desire, pleasure, and the profound connection of intimacy are not privileges reserved solely for the young. To allow one's sexual life to fade into the background out of fear of judgment, embarrassment, or simply out of complacency is to deeply neglect the emotional and physical closeness that once bound partners together. This withdrawal can gradually, and often silently, create an emotional chasm, a painful distance where once there was profound intimacy. The truth is that, in the later years of life, physical intimacy can be as deeply fulfilling, if not even more so, than it was in the earlier stages. With the passing of time comes the gift of greater emotional depth, a sense of freedom, and a liberation from the external pressures to meet unrealistic societal expectations or conform to ever-shifting ideals of beauty and attractiveness. Another crucial yet often ignored point is the way physical changes that come with age are frequently viewed as insurmountable obstacles to intimacy. In reality, these changes can unlock fresh opportunities to explore new forms of connection and pleasure. Many individuals, feeling insecure about their bodies or struggling with health issues, withdraw from physical intimacy, convinced that their bodies are no longer capable of providing the kind of enjoyment they once had, or worse, that their bodies have become obstacles in themselves. What often goes unsaid, however, is that with open-hearted communication, mutual understanding, and a willingness to adapt, couples can find ways to redefine their intimate life. By embracing change and adapting their relationship to their evolving needs, intimacy can remain a vibrant, fulfilling, and deeply meaningful part of their connection. To overlook this potential is to abandon one of the most powerful and transformative aspects of a strong, loving relationship. Lastly, there's a quiet but pervasive societal pressure that looms over older adults. The deeply ingrained belief that it is somehow inappropriate or shameful for them to express interest in or discuss sex. This ageism, often so deeply internalized that it goes unnoticed, is one of the most insidious ways to stifle human desire, perpetuate harmful stereotypes, and silence the natural, essential need for intimacy in later life. This mindset forces those who feel its weight into a prison of shame, cutting them off from an inherent part of their humanity. The truth is that by openly acknowledging and claiming the right to physical intimacy in old age, individuals are making a powerful statement about their self-respect, personal freedom, and right to live a full, rich life. Now, more than ever, love, desire, and physical connection should be celebrated as vital, life-affirming expressions of existence, no matter how many years have passed. The fourth thing that can certainly irritate many elderly people is the fact that, in some cases, they are responsible for sabotaging their romantic and intimate relationships. The weight of this realization can be profoundly disheartening, especially when it becomes clear that the very behaviors they cling to, born from years of habit or fear, are the ones that are quietly eroding the connection they once shared with their partner. A deep-seated attachment to rigid patterns of thinking and behavior, an overwhelming need to control every aspect of life, and an obstinate refusal to accept the inevitability of change. These are not mere quirks or harmless traits. They are insidious forces that slowly drive a wedge between partners, creating an emotional gulf that can seem impossible to bridge. As time passes, what once felt like the warm embrace of shared love and understanding becomes a barren, lonely space where feelings are left unsaid, where hopes are left unspoken, and where the connection that was once the lifeblood of the relationship slowly withers away. The cold words, "I've always done it this way," or "back in my day, things were different," are more than just defensiveness. They are desperate cries for control and an unwillingness to face the discomfort of emotional growth. These words, which echo through the walls of the home like haunting refrains, are an excuse to avoid the difficult, yet essential work of transforming oneself to meet the evolving needs of the relationship. This mindset, this refusal to adapt, to evolve, and to grow alongside one's partner, doesn't merely hinder the relationship's potential for flourishing. It tears at the very heart of it. Rather than creating a space for deeper intimacy and connection, it invites bitterness, resentment, and emotional neglect. The result? A relationship that once held so much promise is reduced to a battlefield of silent arguments, missed opportunities for true closeness, and deep, unspoken sorrow that both partners carry, even though neither knows how to express it. Moreover, there's an even more painful, insidious trap many older adults fall into: the belief that their many years of life experience have somehow granted them infallibility in matters of love, that the wisdom of age has bestowed upon them the right to stop listening and stop learning. As if the passage of time and the accumulation of years equates to a perfect understanding of love and relationships. The dangerous assumption that they no longer need to listen to their partner's feelings, perspectives, or desires can slowly poison the well of intimacy, making it almost impossible for the relationship to survive the test of time. What many fail to realize is that relationships, no matter the stage of life, require constant nourishment, humility, and a willingness to grow together. The simple yet profound act of recognizing when you have made a mistake, offering a heartfelt apology, and, perhaps most importantly, being willing to examine and transform the unhealthy patterns that have crept into your behavior over time, are the pillars that support a healthy, lasting connection. But when one partner remains entrenched in the belief that their wisdom, hard-earned through the years, gives them the right to impose their views without compromise, they are, in effect, suffocating the very thing they hold dear, their love. Rather than nurturing and protecting their bond, they are slowly allowing it to be suffocated by their stubbornness and pride. In refusing to reflect on their behavior, in failing to acknowledge the emotional wounds they've inflicted, they are not preserving intimacy. They are chiseling away at it, one unexamined action at a time. Perhaps the hardest truth to confront in the later years of life, one that often causes unbearable pain, is the creeping, insidious loneliness that invades relationships, even when both partners are physically present. This loneliness is not necessarily the result of neglect or intentional emotional withdrawal by the partner, but often the painful consequence of emotional self-isolation. As time passes, many older individuals begin to retreat inward, withdrawing from the active investment in their relationship that once felt so vital and alive. They stop reaching out emotionally, choosing instead to become spectators in their own love story. They fall into familiar routines, protecting themselves behind walls of routine and habit, waiting for the world to change around them, rather than having the courage to be vulnerable and adapt. This emotional retreat is often masked by the false belief that they have done their part in the relationship and that now, the burden falls on their partner to carry the weight of the emotional connection. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The phrase, "I've done my part, now it's their turn," is a painful admission of emotional disengagement. It is the silent surrender of one's emotional presence in the relationship. But love cannot survive without mutual effort. It cannot grow if only one person is nurturing it, if only one partner is willing to invest emotionally while the other pulls away. Stopping the emotional investment in a relationship is not just neglect. It is, in essence, quietly abandoning it. It is the slow, painful death of something that was once full of life, something that could have endured for years to come, had both partners been willing to pour into it. The emotional withdrawal creates an unbearable void, where loneliness festers in the shadows, and the bond that once felt so strong begins to crack and crumble under the weight of neglect. If reading this evokes a sense of discomfort, unease, or even guilt, perhaps it is because this truth has touched a raw nerve. Perhaps it is shining a light on something that has been quietly festering beneath the surface, something that needs to be faced and addressed. Confronting these truths can be difficult, but it is necessary if we are to preserve the most important relationships in our lives. Love is not passive. It does not exist in a vacuum. It is an active, living force that requires constant effort, nurturing, and growth. Without this commitment, without the willingness to invest emotionally, reflect on one's behavior, and open oneself to change, love becomes fragile, brittle, and ultimately unsustainable. Relationships in our later years can be the most rewarding, the most profound, and the most meaningful if we are willing to do the hard work of maintaining them. But if we let go of that effort, if we allow ourselves to emotionally withdraw or become complacent, we risk losing the very thing that gives us joy, comfort, and companionship in our twilight years. The fifth point that can be uncomfortable to confront is that many older adults use their age as a justification to avoid intimacy. It's a common refrain, "I just don't have the energy for it anymore," or "it doesn't matter at this stage of life." But these phrases often conceal something far deeper, unspoken fears and insecurities about the inevitable changes that come with aging. These fears are not just about physical limitations, but the emotional vulnerability that comes with confronting one's mortality, changes in appearance, and the fragility of the human body. It's easier to push intimacy aside than to face the vulnerability of a body that no longer feels like it once did. But the painful truth is that this mindset, though seemingly protective, only serves to create an insurmountable emotional chasm between partners. It isn't just physical distancing that occurs, it's the silent erosion of trust, connection, and emotional closeness that sustains a relationship. When intimacy is neglected, even in the most subtle ways, it can chip away at the foundation of what once was a strong, loving partnership. In truth, the lack of intimacy in relationships has little to do with the passage of time or the number of years one has lived. It is, instead, a reflection of the effort, intention, and creativity one is willing to invest in preserving the bond that once flourished. Aging, while undeniably bringing its own set of challenges, physical, emotional, and mental, also opens doors to new and profound forms of connection. The possibilities for deepening intimacy don't vanish as time passes. Rather, they evolve, inviting couples to rediscover each other in ways that may not resemble the past, but are equally meaningful. Rekindling intimacy doesn't require trying to relive what once was. It requires a willingness to explore new avenues of connection, whether they be through tender touch, shared experiences, or open emotional exchanges that are uniquely fitting to the stage of life you are in. To view intimacy as something that is only for the young is not only limiting, it's unfair. It reduces the richness of the human experience and disregards the profound emotional needs that remain throughout life. When both partners are open and willing to embrace it, denying the importance of intimacy is like locking away one of the most vital, soul-sustaining aspects of a relationship. Intimacy, in its truest sense, is not about physical perfection or youthful energy. It's about the deep, soul-nourishing joy of connecting with another person in a way that transcends time. At the end of the day, it is not age that diminishes desire. It is the conscious choice to stop nurturing it, to let go of the belief that intimacy is something for the past. Recognizing this truth, though it may be uncomfortable for some, is an act of liberation for those who long to preserve and cultivate fulfilling, loving relationships well into their later years. It is an invitation to embrace the inevitable changes of aging and to redefine intimacy in a way that makes space for continued growth, connection, and love. It's about finding new ways to express affection and closeness that feel authentic and meaningful in the present moment, no matter how much time has passed. The sixth thing, and perhaps one of the hardest to accept, is that many elderly people maintain toxic relationships out of fear of starting over alone. The deeply ingrained, almost suffocating belief that at my age, there's no time left to change traps people in relationships that are not only unhealthy but in many cases, profoundly abusive. It's a conviction that, at first glance, might seem reasonable. After all, the years are passing, and with each one, the possibility of beginning anew feels more distant. Yet, this mindset is nothing short of a cruel emotional trap, one that binds the soul in chains of fear, self-doubt, and regret. While this belief may feel comforting, even logical, it is ultimately devastating to the individual, because it prevents them from embracing the possibility of a life filled with the care, respect, and love that every human being, no matter their age, deserves. What makes this all the more tragic is that the decision to stay in such relationships is often rooted in a crippling fear of judgment. What will my family and friends think if I leave now? This question looms large in the hearts of so many, casting a dark shadow over any possibility of change. There's an agonizing internal struggle between the desire for freedom and the pressure to conform to societal expectations. The burden of living to satisfy others, even at the cost of one's happiness, becomes almost unbearable. And yet, the painful truth is that staying in a relationship out of fear of what others will say or think is not only a betrayal of one's happiness but a betrayal of one's very self-worth. It creates a life defined by obligations and guilt rather than joy and self-respect. Whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or even your 80s, the decision to remain in a toxic relationship because of a misplaced sense of duty, fear of change, or concern over how you'll be perceived by others is one of the most harmful decisions anyone can make. It's not just a mistake, it's a deep, profound disservice to yourself. The path to breaking free from such a relationship is anything but easy. It takes unimaginable courage, a strength of spirit that many may feel has long since left them. The emotional toll of this choice is staggering. It feels as though the very foundation of life is being torn apart. The comfort of the familiar, no matter how painful, can be a powerful force, and the fear of the unknown can be overwhelming. But the truth is that the very idea of starting over, of walking away from what is no longer serving you, is far less frightening than the years of emotional and psychological imprisonment that come with staying stuck in a toxic bond. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, there will be moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments where the weight of the decision will feel almost too much to bear. But the reward of living the remainder of your life authentically, on your terms, at peace with yourself, surrounded by people who love and respect you, outshines every challenge that might arise along the way. Choosing to live with authenticity and self-love, to embrace the remaining years of your life with a renewed sense of purpose and inner peace, is a choice that holds profound power. It is a choice that honors your past, your struggles, and the wisdom you've accumulated over the years, and it is a decision to finally put yourself first. The prospect of starting over, of stepping into uncharted territory, might seem frightening at first, but the emotional liberation that comes from walking away from a toxic relationship, from refusing to let the past dictate your future, is worth every ounce of discomfort. The courage it takes to make this decision is immense, but the rewards are limitless. You will rediscover a version of yourself that has long been buried beneath the weight of obligation and fear. Choosing your happiness, your mental and emotional well-being, and your peace of mind is never a mistake. It is an act of profound self-respect, a life-affirming declaration that you are worthy of love, happiness, and fulfillment. No matter your age, no matter your circumstances. It's an act of reclaiming your power, your voice, and your future. It opens the door to new beginnings, to personal growth, to experiences that are aligned with who you truly are. It allows for the cultivation of deep, meaningful relationships that bring you joy, support, and fulfillment. And above all, it creates space for you to receive the love, care, and respect you have always deserved. In the end, staying in a relationship that stifles your spirit, that chips away at your sense of self-worth, is not the path to peace. True peace comes from the strength to walk away, the courage to stand up for yourself, and the wisdom to know that you deserve so much more than what you've been settling for. The choice to break free from toxic bonds is not just a brave act. It is a revolutionary, life-changing decision that has the power to redefine the rest of your life in the most beautiful and fulfilling ways imaginable. The seventh point is perhaps one of the most controversial, and it might even cause some discomfort for many. It delves into a deeply emotional and uncomfortable reality that is rarely discussed openly, yet is undeniably present in some relationships. This truth is that, in certain situations, women, despite their outward participation in intimate acts, such as oral sex, with an older partner, may later experience intense feelings of disgust, regret, or shame. These emotions are particularly common when these intimate acts take place in a relationship where there is a glaring absence of any real emotional connection. It is not uncommon for this type of dynamic to emerge in relationships that are rooted in superficial, transactional motivations, such as the pursuit of money, social status, or sheer convenience, rather than in love, respect, and a deep-seated desire for one another. In relationships where intimacy is stripped of its emotional depth, where affection becomes little more than a commodity to be exchanged, the imbalance between partners grows dangerously profound. One partner, in particular, may feel entirely objectified, used not as a person, but as a tool to satisfy the needs and desires of the other. The person on the receiving end of this transactional exchange may begin to sense, however subtly, that they are nothing more than a means to an end. The intimacy that should be an expression of mutual care becomes a mere physical transaction, an empty gesture that ultimately leaves the one who is giving feeling hollow, unnoticed, and uncared for. On the other side of this emotional divide, the partner who believes they are being loved and desired may be deceiving themselves. They may rationalize that their intimacy is a true expression of affection, when in fact, it is only a temporary, shallow exchange, a way of securing comfort, status, or other material benefits. It's not uncommon for such individuals to cling to the illusion that they are genuinely wanted or cherished, even as the emotional void deepens around them. For men in particular, the realization that their relationships are not built on authentic connection, but on something far more superficial, can be a devastating blow to their pride and sense of self-worth. The ego takes a painful hit when the truth dawns. Is this truly love, or is it an illusion, an exchange of affection in disguise? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This realization can be a bitter pill to swallow, especially in the later years of life when we often seek solace and connection more than ever. Yet, it is crucial to confront this uncomfortable truth head-on, because doing so allows us the chance to reevaluate the very foundation of our relationships. In our later years, there is an undeniable call for honesty, especially when it comes to intimacy. No matter how many years we have lived, the need for genuine connection and emotional fulfillment remains as strong as ever. We can no longer afford to deceive ourselves into thinking that a transactional, emotionally shallow relationship is enough to satisfy the deep yearnings of our hearts. To maintain a healthy and fulfilling intimate relationship at any stage of life, the foundation must be built on authenticity, mutual respect, and a heartfelt desire to be with one another. When any of these core elements are missing, the intimacy that is supposed to be nourishing can feel hollow, even painful. The physical connection, which might initially seem gratifying, can quickly turn into an emotional void that is all-consuming. Even the most passionate moments of physical closeness can leave one partner feeling emotionally adrift, as though something vital is missing, something irreplaceable and profoundly necessary for genuine connection. It is only through confronting the truth about these emotional imbalances that we can move forward into healthier, more authentic relationships. This truth, though difficult and sometimes overwhelming to face, serves as an invitation to rethink how we engage in relationships and intimacy. It offers us the opportunity to let go of superficial desires and to seek out deeper, more meaningful connections with others. The reality is that real happiness and fulfillment cannot be found in material exchanges or hollow gestures. True happiness comes from building relationships that are grounded in honesty, mutual respect, and authentic love. These are the relationships that sustain us throughout our lives, nourishing our hearts and souls in ways that no transactional exchange ever could. In the end, it is these connections, those that are built on trust, understanding, and a mutual desire for one another, that provide the lasting fulfillment and emotional depth we all crave. They are the ones who truly support us, whether we are at the beginning of our lives or in the later years when we are seeking companionship, love, and understanding the most. Let this realization be the catalyst for a change in how we approach intimacy and relationships in our lives. May it inspire us to seek out the bonds that truly matter, those that nourish our hearts and give us the courage to face whatever challenges life may bring, knowing that we are supported by the deep, abiding love of someone who truly sees and understands us. As we come to the end of this thought-provoking journey, it's time to reflect on what we've explored together. Relationships, especially in later years, require honesty, authenticity, and mutual respect to truly flourish. The truths we've discussed may be difficult to face, but they hold the power to inspire deep, meaningful change in how we approach love, intimacy, and connection. Now, let me ask you, what resonated with you the most? What have you learned from this conversation that you can bring into your own life? I encourage you to share one thing you've taken away from this discussion in the comments below. How will you use this knowledge to create more fulfilling and authentic relationships in your life? If you found value in this video, please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to join us on more journeys of growth and self-discovery. Together, we can build a community of understanding, respect, and connection. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.